All right, now I want to go over to games, talk about Week 14 games. Obviously, Thursday night has a great game, Navy versus Memphis. And then Friday kind of kicks off a big-time rivalry week. Again, it's hard to say sometimes, but rivalry games against, we have the Egg Bowl, we have Texas A&M. We have a bunch of games kicking off Friday. First one I want to get into is the Egg Bowl. Ole Miss, Mississippi State. The spread right now is 7 points in favor of Ole Miss, so -7 Ole Miss. And then the over-under is 62.5. That's moved a little bit, but obviously there's kind of that additional layer with, what is Lane Kiffin going to do at the end of the year? And that's kind of adding some intrigue to this game. So want to turn it over to Christian, kind of talk about the Egg Bowl, talk about what we're seeing and what in-season AI is telling us.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get into it. Yeah, so we talked about right now Ole Miss favored by about 7 points. In-season AI has Ole Miss winning about 75% of the time with a medium conviction rating on that. And when we talk about medium conviction rating, just kind of pulling this up, it's historically accurate around 80% of the time. So we're pretty highly confident in the outcome of this game, especially with, the spread being 7 with Ole Miss having a 75% chance of winning. Typically equates to a little bit of a wider spread. So this is definitely a game we like. Just kind of breaking this down, this is, a very good Ole Miss team, very strong offensively and defensively, going against kind of a lackluster Mississippi State team that's had some close losses, but ultimately 5-6 on the year. Just quickly going through the offenses and defenses, Ole Miss is 9th in SP plus offense, 20th in defense, whereas Mississippi State's 36 in offense, 79 in defense. Not really huge notables that I want to pull out of here. I mean, we know that Ole Miss can score the ball. Their defense is extremely effective. Putting on a little couple of stats here, one of the things I'm looking at is Ole Miss passes the ball about 305 yards per game, while Mississippi State only allows about 202. So there could be a little bit of, stringency there in terms of what Mississippi State's able to hold Ole Miss to. But, otherwise, Trinidad Chambliss has been pretty excellent this year. Blake Shapen has performed well. The way I look at Blake Shapen, he's performed well in not as tough opponents, but has not performed well against tough opponents. And so that's kind of the question mark that we're seeing from him this year is we don't really know what he's capable of doing consistently against good opponents. And when I say good opponents, good defenses, especially in the SEC. But happy to break into if you want to jump in anything more specifically real quickly before we move on.
Yeah. Kind of, I just want to pick up off that point about Blake Shapen. You're exactly right. You kind of see his stats against Arkansas and teams like that really don't have a very effective defense, and he puts up big numbers and really thrives in that Libby offense. But then you kind of on the flip side, you look at what he does against Georgia, and good defenses are able to kind of get in his face, put pressure on him, and he is not able to kind of, at least has not shown this year that he's able to rise to that challenge of facing that good defense. All of this, I think, is going to be kind of in context of that's a non-rivalry game. This kind of is the Egg Bowl. Not only that, you have additional kind of layers and intrigue to this, where Mississippi State's trying to make become bowl eligible, make a bowl. You beat Ole Miss. Not only do you potentially ruin their season, potentially kick them out of the college football playoff, but you also become bowl eligible. And then on Ole Miss's side, you're going into a tough environment. You got cowbells, and cowbells and a bunch of cowbells. And you also are kind of in the back of your mind wondering, is Coach Kiffin going to be here next year? Where's Lane going? Yeah. And does he want me to follow him? So, I'm sure Lane Kiffin's been around the block. He's done this a time or two with Tennessee, going to USC and all of that. So I'm sure he's that locker room has more of an understanding of what's going on than you and I do on the outside looking in. But there's a bunch of layers to this. And this is why Feast Week is the best week of the year, because we get these games that I think any other weekend, if these two teams didn't have logos and they were just playing against each other, Ole Miss would probably run through them. But
and I don't think the spread would necessarily be 7 points either.
I don't
think
so
that
either.
Vegas knows the context of this game, the implications of this game. Mississippi State trying to get bowl eligible and potentially ruin Ole Miss's season, and Ole Miss is trying to continue their great season they've had thus far and get a win. So yeah, I kind of agree with you there. I don't think there's really necessarily anything much additional to headline here. I think Trinidad Chambliss has been pretty consistent all season. I was just pulling up his stats. One of the most highly accurate quarterbacks in the country this year, and does that against good teams as well, good defenses as well. So I would be surprised if he doesn't have kind of the consistently good games he's had thus far. Because if you look at Mississippi State's defense, which I'll just pull up real quick, one of their struggles is that pass rush defense, which allows Trinidad Chambliss to kind of sit in the pocket a little bit longer. But Ole Miss can really rely on their run game as well with Mississippi State's 16th percentile run defense. So I think they got a lot of options. I think this should be kind of a chalk win for Ole Miss.
Yeah, that would be my guess. But again, there's that all those added layers to this game that makes it a game worth watching.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I also think that this is not going to be a game where defense really thrives on either side. I mean, I think Ole Miss has a much better defense than Mississippi State. I think this is going to be really the big question is, can Mississippi State score enough points to keep up with Ole Miss? Because I think this is going to be a game that, what is it, over 62.5? I think, this is going to go well over that. So, So if you are a college football fan, an Ole Miss fan, a Mississippi State Bulldog fan, anyone that is watching these, please comment, like, subscribe, check us out on X, Instagram, TikTok, and then as always, go to INSZN.co to find all of this information yourself.